How's it going, everybody? It's Planet Fame. We are back with another FPL deadline stream. It's even earlier than normal deadline streams, but it's the last one that's going to be like this because the final day fixtures are all at a much more normal time. But yeah, they for some reason they stuck the games starting them half an hour earlier, which is weird. All of them are on a Sunday, which makes sense because the FA Cup was the big spectacle yesterday, which Liverpool won. So, yeah, I'm not too happy about that, but that's fine. But yeah, congratulations to Liverpool. They've now won the domestic double in the trophy competitions. They're still in the hunt for the quadruple. They are still in the hunt, although City look, if they do what they need to do today, then they should be fine on winning the Premier League. And the most that Liverpool can get is 3 out of the 4, and not the 3 that makes it the best 3, as it were. But yeah. A sleepy pilot is never safe. No, a sleepy pilot's fine. He just kind of yawns a lot. That's fine. And then the football games watch him sometimes. But yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna talk about the normal things we normally do. We got the tables, we got our team. We made our transfer last night because Salah looked to have picked up a groin injury in the FA Cup, so we swapped him straight out for Son, as we were going to do this week, regardless if he was staying or not. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. We're going to roll the other transfer, I'm pretty sure. It's just a matter of who do I captain, so we'll look at that and make our decisions based off that. But we'll take a look at the tables as we normally do. We'll look at the transfer planner, because I'll have 2 frees, which is nice going into the final game week of the season, and see what our options are. And we'll also normally take your questions in the chat, as we normally do. We'll keep an eye on Twitter if there's any like early team news or anything like that. So yeah, but before we do that, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout. So we're going to see some of the tables from Fantasy Football Scout today, so make sure to check all of those out. You can create your own tables. There's a link down in the about section or in the description below if you're watching this VOD later. Again, we do these streams over on Twitch. So if you're watching this over on YouTube, this is a delayed VOD, and it's probably past the deadline. So yeah, make sure to come check us out over on Twitch for the live streams. That's where we do them. But down in the description or the about section, you will see the link, which will stay the same for next season as well, which you can get the preseason offer as well. So, yeah, should be nice. For next season, they're improving the members area all the time, and you get a discount in the preseason. So make sure to keep an eye on that. And remember, FPL is only going to be right around the corner, because literally it's going to be Champions League final, playoff final, and then it's probably going to be like 1 month, and then it's going to be right back into FPL again. So, yeah, make sure to keep an eye out for that. But, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Do I start Saka or Dewsbury Hall? Says Ben. I think you got to start the doubler. I think. Yeah, I would say start Dewsbury Hall. Because I think he plays both, probably. Or is one of them more likely to play both. Who to captain? Well, that's the big question on everyone's mind this week, and especially on a free hit. Let me just bring up another window on the side here, because I want to keep an eye on anything for
I'm lining up at the moment is Schmeichel.
That's Planet James, Planet FPL. I'm gonna see what his captaincy choices are and see if I agree. So James actually has, he says, your benching dilemmas he's got Dewsbury Hall ahead of Saka literally. So that's what James is going with. I think that's a smart choice because it's a doubler. But in terms of his captaincy choices, he thinks that Richarlison is top. Then it's Zaha, then it's Ings, then it's Vardy, then it's De Bruyne, then it's Son, then it's Kane, then it's Digne, then it's Cash, then it's Foden. That's who he has, personally. And he's going with Richarlison captain. That's how he sees it. Let me see if there's anything. His benching dilemmas. He puts your City defenders over Laporte, which makes sense. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Let me see if there's anything. I see a lot of people going with Ings. Somebody Captain Cash. Right. Let's move that out of the way. I currently have it on Vardy. I'm stuck with Kane, Son, and De Bruyne to captain. So it is a bit of a tricky one. Let's go through the captaincy tables right away because I know that's going to be a big topic and we want to get it out of the way because it might take a while. So what I've done here is this is my penalty box threat attackers table. And I also have my captaincy attackers table to see if there's anything that's like of equivalent. And I've sorted it out by touches in the penalty area. So touches in the penalty area give you an idea of how often this player is getting on the ball in a very dangerous position. We can see the Ings, who is going to play most likely, because we're still not sure if Watkins is, injured or whatever. Is at the very top of that. Now there are some players on this table that are going to be quite deceiving. Son, as an example, has very low penalty area touches, and that's mainly because he usually only has one touch, and it's in the back of the net, right? So there are some players that kind of defy this table, which is why I like to pair it up with a couple of other tables. But if you're looking at guys who are getting involved in and around the box, Ings is there, Jota's there, Diaz is there. Diaz likes to be is a very unique dribbler in that way. Richarlison's there, Kane's there. Even some of the defenders come up quite nicely on this table, so like Cancelo. Zaha, who you would think would be like a very unique, dribbler, similar to how Diaz plays. Diaz is much better in the stats department, although Diaz's expected goal involvement is slightly lower. Zaha is on penalties as well. So I think Ings is probably top of that, like he's going to be in and around the box. And if we sort it by expected goal involvement, Ings is second behind Kane. So KDB and Ings or Coutinho and Vardy. KDB and Ings, I would say. I think KDB has a much better chance of outscoring Coutinho, and Ings can definitely get more than Vardy, I think, this week. Coutinho does have a double over KDB, but KDB's form and Coutinho can get subbed off early, might not play the second game. I have Coutinho, I'm going to keep him, but if you're on a free hit, I wouldn't go with Coutinho in my opinion. I think he would be a bit of a risk. So that's just my opinion. So yeah, and if you look at like the minutes played, like Kane is max minutes, Cancelo's max minutes, Trent's max minutes. Everyone else is getting subbed off earlier. Watkins is almost max. So in terms of playing time, the guy who's going to look to potentially get you the most kind of involvement in the penalty area is Kane, Ings, those sorts of players. But some of them obviously defy that table. Ben has my team for this week is Ramsdale, Matip, Digne, Dyer, Gordon, Son, Captain, De Bruyne, Dewsbury Hall, Kane, Weghorst, and Watkins. I think the team's fine. I wouldn't be surprised if Watkins comes off the bench today if he doesn't start, and he'll probably start the next game. So yeah, I think Son captain's fine for your team, Ben. I mean, you could really risk it if you wanted to and go Digne, but that's a super big risk. You can also go Kane as well. De Bruyne if you didn't want to back the early kickoff. I'm interested in leaning the other way. You think De Bruyne not overpriced for a free hit in a one-off game against an organized side? I think De Bruyne is the perfect type of player to unlock that organized side, but I think on a free hit you're not going Mo Salah anymore. You're not going Liverpool, period, I don't think. I think the only single game week players that probably should be on your mind, maybe, depending on your rank, is João Cancelo, De Bruyne, Son, and Kane. Those are the only four I think you should have. Everyone else should be doublers. I think, personally. And if we look at our captaincy table, when we sort by expected goal involvement again, we've sorted it the same way. But if you look at Kane, Kane's got 3 goals, 4 big chances, 3 chances created, a big chance created. He's top for shots inside the box. Kane's doing well on these metrics. He's doing very well, but Son is the guy that's defying them. So if I was on a free hit, let me bring up a notepad here. Where's the notepad? There's the notepad. Number 1, I would put I'd probably put Richarlison. The reason I put Richarlison first, even though he doesn't show well up on these metrics, is just because he has 2 home fixtures. He's playing for a side that needs to score. They need to get points. The only caveat is that if they win their first game, then there's a possibility that they are already out of the relegation zone, like in terms of like they're fully safe. And that could mean that he kind of just takes a back seat, and it's not the not ideal. But on fixture wise, I would say Richarlison is the best captain. This is fixture wise, is how I'll say it. 2 would be Danny Ings. Same reason, fixtures, playing well. Gerrard's not the type of manager that's gonna sit there and just tell his players to not, perform, because he's looking for next season as well. Hasn't been with them a crazy long amount of time, so he's going to be looking for performances, and I think Ings has been doing that recently, which shows in his last 4 matches. Expected goal involvement, had 6 big chances, most out of anyone in the list. 3, I would put Son, obvious reasons. 4, I would put Kane, and 5, I would say this is where like your captain punts come in. So this would be like a Vardy if we know he starts versus Watford. This would be like your Dignes, your Cashes, your these sorts of players like that. Pickford if you really wanted to go that route. So yeah. Free hit currently: Pickford, Cash, Digne, Holgate, KDB, Son, Zaha, Coutinho, Kane, Richarlison, Vardy. For Madison and Ings, in for Coutinho and Vardy. I think you go Ings over Vardy if you're going Richarlison and Kane. That's just me personally. But that means you have to get rid of Coutinho. So you have KDB, Son, Kane. That's the weird thing, because a lot of the midfield options this week aren't they aren't ideal. I mean, Madison probably has more likely chance of playing both games than Vardy does. But what does that mean? Who knows? Madison can get hooked at 60 and 60. Vardy could play 90 and 30. Same amount of minutes, right? If I was on a free hit, I mean, I did a free hit video, but I like Ings over Vardy right now, personally. Is Ings on pens? Well, Watkins took the last penalty, so if Watkins isn't on the pitch, I would assume so. I think so. I think Ings would be on pens. I can't remember if Ings was on the pitch last time when they did take a pen. I can't remember. But I would assume so if Watkins isn't on the pitch. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, so these would be the captaincy based on fixtures. And then if I was to do it based on like form, I mean, I would say like, Son, he seems like he's scoring every week. 2, I would do Ings probably. I don't know, it's tough. Ings and Kane are probably tied. And then everyone else, honestly, if you were to do it based off form. Ings' stats have been very, very good. So, you think Coutinho new contract now has him nailed now? Yes and no. Yes, I think he'll probably start. But no in the fact that I don't think he gets 90 minutes every game. If Watkins is out, I mean, I think him and Buendia both play, which is very, very good if you're an Ings owner. Very good if you're an Ings owner, because you just have straight service into him. So, who knows? But I think Coutinho starts at least the first game. Let's see. Just double checking if there's anything. If there's anything on the cards. Don't think there's anything of note. For any news, so yeah, nothing of note for news. Right. Think Holgate is safe, or is Mina back? Mina was back, but he went off injured like 18 minutes in or something like that. I think Holgate is safe. Pretty sure Holgate is safe. I think Holgate's a nice budget option. I mean, I would make sure you have someone at least That's a doubler as a backup, right? Or at least a solid single, because you have so much money. Like you can do like nonsense things with money. Like, because you don't have Salah, you don't have Trent, probably. But if you wanted to, you could stick Trent on the bench, like if you really wanted to. But yeah, so that's kind of how I see the captaincy. I think form-wise, you stick it on Son. Aitnuri is a solid single. I would probably go like Johnny or somebody like that, or just go like Cody. Cody is like super safe. You know he's gonna play. I wouldn't even risk Aitnuri because like what happens if Marcel magically just plays or something? Whereas Cody, you know he's definitely gonna play. I wouldn't take any chances there. So yeah, that's how I see the captaincy. I think if if you're captaining, like I think Richarlison and Ings are the top two, Son and then Kane probably after them, and then it's the Vardys, Digne's, Cashes if you're looking to make up some serious ground. Having Ings and Richarlison will be fine. They're not going to be over 100% because everyone probably thinks that it's like everyone's free hitting this week. They're not. Some people are doing transfers, some people aren't. For me personally, it's better for my team to not use a bunch of different transfers. Because if let's say I went crazy, let's say I got in Ings, I got in whoever, I would have to go into next week with a problem. So I can show you what the problem looks like. So this is what my team looks like. Obviously, it's not going to show this on FPL team if you type in my ID, but this is what it looks like with the transfer in place. It's assuming that I bought Son for 11-1, even though I didn't. I bought him last night, but money doesn't really matter. There's one game week left in the season after this, so the next week, if I bought in, let's say instead of Pookie, I had Ings. That's another player playing against Man City on the final day of the season that I would have to bench. Could I do it? Yeah, of course I could. But I would have to play like Gordon or something like that. So hopefully Laporte's fine. He comes back in for cash. And Nketiah could come in for Coutinho. And then I could choose between Coutinho and Gordon. But on the final day, I have two frees. I can go like Coutinho to Amares or something like that, or I can hone in on Chelsea's fixture versus Watford and go like Mason Mount, and instead of cash I can go Reece James. If they're both likely to play, I'll play Reece James over Nketiah. I can do something like that. And that team looks much better, has a lot of home fixtures. The only non-home fixtures is the Spurs boys away to Norwich. If somebody doesn't play, I got Nketiah coming off the bench. It's fine. That's something that we can do quite easily. So, I like it. I like it a lot. So that's something that we wanted to do. I don't need to be taking hits for Ings and Richarlison and Zaha and these sorts of players because they're gonna hamper my team the following week potentially. So if I have to take a hit for them and then bench them and all that sort of stuff, then what's the point? Because like this week I have 4 doublers. Who are the main people that I'm missing? Probably Zaha, Richarlison, and Ings. Okay. I mean, I have Coutinho to potentially rival Ings, whether he does or not. That's up for debate. Gordon's in there. He could potentially do something. Richarlison could do something. It's neither here nor there. And then Zaha. Zaha would be the only one that I would say like, potentially I might want somebody there, but again, you know, Zaha's 2 fixtures are also against Everton and Aston Villa. So again, you're gonna have clashes against each other. So like if you have Zaha and Cash, they're going against each other. So it can kind of be detrimental. And where I'm looking at my single game weekers, if Kulusevski is apparently Kulusevski's out, he's out ill apparently. This is a rumor, not confirmed. I have Laporte who can come in, and if Laporte's strapped up and can't play or for whatever reason, then I have Nketiah coming in. My single game weekers, Trent's going to play. Matip only played 30 minutes in the cup final, so he's going to play, especially if Van Dijk's out. Do I like the prospects of Matip and Gomez at the back versus Southampton? Probably not, because Konate played 120. No, I think that's fine, Mono. I like Mikalenko a lot this week. So yeah, that would be the only deficiencies that I would have in my team is potentially an Everton defender. I would pick Mikalenko or Pickford. And then Ings, Zaha, and Richarlison. Those are the main 3. But I do have things that can potentially, that are involved in the game that could help me lower that score. Gordon being one, Coutinho being the other. Zaha I can't do anything about. I just have to hope that my potentially triple Spurs, but if Kula's out, then double Spurs. Because there'll be a lot of managers on free hit that will probably have Kane and Son this week. So we'll see. Think Cancelo over Trent this week. I think Trent's probably better. Trent played 120 minutes, but I think Trent's probably still better just because opposition's easier, and I think West Ham have not blanked at home. So, would you worry about Dini rotation with Young? A little bit. That's why I would go with I would only go with Cash and Ings. For me personally, I would just go with Cash and Ings. Good morning, X Nike. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I know some people it's a nice mid-morning. For me, it's very early in the morning. How long we got till the deadline? We got just over a half an hour. So yeah, that's the reasoning why I just went Salah straight to Son. I'm gonna want Son for these last 2 fixtures. I even polled the question: who scores more, Salah or Son over the last 4 game weeks, including the double, or 4 games? And Son's gonna do that by a mile because Salah's probably not gonna be ready. Son's gonna pass him and win the Golden Boot. Kane, Son, Zaha, Cash, or Richarlison to captain. There you go. That's how I see it. If you're going off form, I think Son. If you're going off fixtures, go Richarlison. Let's take a look at some other stats tables. Those are my list of stats tables right there. I will move the notepad off the screen to make it easier. So if we're looking at bad defenses. So Watford and Norwich and Wolves are the top three. Which is unfortunate because Wolves and Norwich are playing each other. Which makes you think I should probably play Pookie, but nah. And then Watford, who plays Leicester. So could be some goals in those two games. But in terms of tight defenses, I mean, Crystal Palace haven't conceded a big chance last 4 matches, which is crazy. No problem, Nike. Man City and Spurs and Liverpool, really good defenses. Burnley, surprisingly, last 4 matches has been really good in defense, as have Leicester and Villa and Everton. So Leicester, Villa, Everton, all similar defenses. Same with Burnley in terms of like XG conceded. So it could be very stingy. Richarlison on pens, even if DCL is on, I would think Richarlison's still on pens, yeah. Yeah, I would think Richarlison's still on pens. Mainly because of the fact that when DCL did play the couple times this season, later on after he had his first injury, and he was on the pitch with Richarlison, Richarlison still took the penalty. Yeah. Yeah, so like you look at the games, Villa play Crystal Palace and Everton. Crystal Palace and Burnley. So in terms of defenses, Crystal Palace and Burnley might not give away very much. So attacking wise could be difficult. Going against those defenses. But what about their attacks? So Burnley's actually top 3 attack. So captaining a Villa defender versus Crystal Palace and Burnley does not look like a good prospect in terms of what their teams are doing attacking wise. Palace in the top 7, Burnley in the top 3. Although Palace have only scored 3 goals from an expected of 7.02. So they're lower on the goal number, even though they should be scoring more. City, I mean, 19 goals is just mental, but they've just been destroying everyone. For Everton, their fixtures are Crystal Palace and Brentford. Brentford about middle of the table. Crystal Palace are the best. In terms of Everton defenders, they're going to have against Crystal Palace, who have a pretty good attack, and Brentford, who are about middle of the road. So again, I don't think any of those doublers prospects for defenders is potentially a good captaincy show. Leicester attacking wise also aren't ideal. You're kind of pinning all your hopes on the Watford game, probably, because Watford's defense is so bad. However, the one stat that makes me very happy about potential Spurs captaincy, not the fact that it's the early kickoff, but because apparently that's like the forbidden rule, but that's just nonsense because I've captained Salah and he scored a brace in the early kickoff before, so is Burnley's defense is very good over the last 4, but their attack is very, very good, which means that they're coming out to fight, which would to me make it seem like that they're opening up space. And if there's a team that exploits space very well, that knows they need to win the game, it's Spurs. So who knows? So I'm just gonna. It's the whole for me. Since I don't have like if I had Ings or Richarlison, I'd probably stick it on them. But for me, I don't have anyone on my team that I can reliably captain. I don't think any of the players in my team, so Schmeichel, Cash, Coutinho, Gordon, I don't think any of those are warranting of the captaincy. Um, Probably the closest thing would be Coutinho, but again, not very confident about that. So it's one of those ones. Because Coutinho could get hooked or not play like one of the games or something like that. Yeah, they're two home fixtures. They're against one team that's trying to attack a lot, one team that's, I mean, both teams are trying to attack. So does that help Coutinho out? Probably does, but I don't think I need a captain Coutinho to make it him super effective. So yeah, I'm not fully convinced. So I'm just gonna go Son. I'm gonna go the man in form, man that's scoring for fun at home, the man that knows he can win the Golden Boot now because Salah doesn't look like he's going to be playing versus Southampton, and potentially might not play versus Wolves. So we shall see. If so, basically the way it's going to work with Liverpool is, does City win the West Ham game? If City win the West Ham game, cool. They probably aren't going to win the league, no matter if they win it, they win or not versus Southampton. If City drop points, then maybe they start thinking, okay, well maybe we have to play Salah. But if they if City win versus West Ham, which they'll know before that they play on Tuesday, then they can be like, okay, well, we don't need to play Salah on the final day of the season. If it's a risk, we're just going to keep him, give him that extra week or just under a week to save him for the Champions League final. That's what they're going to do. So, which in that case would be more akin to Son. Again, somebody who's with the golden is on the race for the Golden Boot is a very dangerous prospect and could be interesting. Same goes for Richarlison. Teams fighting relegation, they need to get points to make sure that they keep themselves safe. Richarlison's a good option. And then Ings is just form based. So all of them are good options. So let me check Twitter because we're about 20 minutes left or so. I don't see anything as to team news of any kind. Yeah, I don't see anything. Don't see anything team news wise at the moment. So we'll check back on that in a little bit. Let's take a look at the goals in minute table. So these are players that are potentially due for more goals, as they've either been missing big chances or getting in positions to score big chances and haven't been scoring them, or have been getting a large volume of shots. So Mateta is actually top of that table, which is interesting because he could be a double game week option potentially that we've kind of all more or less forgot about, because the fact that Zaha is now playing up front or playing on the left or whatever it may be. Danny Welbeck's up there. Don't think anyone's going to go near him. Aubameyang, no one's going to go near him because he plays for Barcelona. A bunch of Burnley players. Jay Rodriguez, Cornet, Weghorst. They have a double two, funnily enough. Which is something that everyone's forgetting about. So maybe this is the week where everyone gets rid of Weghorst and Cornet and they end up doing well, which would be funny to see. And then you got Kuka from Watford. Don't think you're going to be picking him. João Cancelo, which is very interesting. So probably maybe João Cancelo is maybe better to keep over Trent. That was something that was brought up in the chat, so maybe that's something to keep an eye on. Bruno Fernandes, no one's going to go there. He doesn't play this week. Timo Werner, maybe. Wouldn't be going near Chelsea. Tony and Mbomo, possibly for the final day, maybe, versus Leeds. McNeil, and again, another Burnley player. The one who shall not be named, who also wouldn't play this week anyway if he played. Saka, again, managers potentially getting rid of Saka on free hit. I'm going to be playing him, so he could potentially do well this week. Diaz and Mane, two players that have been excellent. Madison, another potential double game week option, and Mason Mount, who will probably be good for the final day of the season, but did well last week. So, again, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see. Also, those for those that are West Ham fans, Mark Noble's last home game, because he's retiring at the end of the season. It's versus Man City, which isn't ideal. He says, I'll be lying on the beach next year and Craig Dawson will be marking Erling Haaland. That's quite funny. That is really funny. Digne or Coutinho for third Villa player. Both of them have their risks. Who's more likely to get points? I think personally, what's realistic of Villa? I think Villa probably draw with Crystal Palace, and I think they probably beat Burnley or draw. In both cases, I can see Villa conceding, right? So if Villa concede, then basically Coutinho and Digne are on the same platform, but Digne's been creating a lot of chances. Obviously, I have Coutinho in my own team, but I wouldn't go a third Villa. That's just me. I think Ings and Cash are your nailed-on guys, and then the third one is always going to be a risk. If I had to say which one I would go for, I'd probably roll the dice on Digne personally. That's just me. I'd roll the dice on Digne. But don't be surprised if one game Ashley Young plays over him instead. I would not be surprised if that happened. Would not be surprised at all. And Coutinho could easily not start one of the games too. Still nothing on the team news front, so and around 10 minutes left, so make sure you have your teams set up now as best as you can. Just in case, because obviously the site can always crash or something random. So you got to make sure your teams are fully set. So yeah, make sure you have your teams fully set. What am I expecting out of this week? I'm probably expecting to get a red arrow this week with my team. Unless Richarlison, Ings, and Zaha all blank. If those three players blank or don't get very high scores and Son goes crazy, and I have him captained, and the single game weekers do well. So let's say like Matip keeps a clean sheet, Trent keeps a clean sheet, Cancelo keeps a clean sheet, Saka scores, Laporte keeps a clean sheet because let's say Kulusevski doesn't play or something like that. And I have a situation where it's like a 1-1 between Villa and Palace, a 1-1 between Burnley and Villa. Then I might get a green arrow, but we'll see. Gordon or Madison? That is tough, actually. Gordon just. And the only reason I say that is because Madison could get benched in the Chelsea game. Just because they know they're going to be under the caution. You need someone who's not as of a luxury, basically, as Madison. I think. Watford game he could do well, obviously. But I know Gordon's going to play both games, almost certainly. Gordon's more likely to start both than Madison is. Gordon, Madison, or Foden. Not sure if I would go Foden. I'll probably say Gordon, but just. Yeah, it's difficult. That one's kind of difficult. I mean, what is the free hit template really? It's Pickford in goal. Cash is definitely in defense. And then it's two other defenders who can be anyone. Midfield, you got what? Son, Zaha, De Bruyne +1. And then you got what? Kane, Ings, Richarlison up front. Probably go Gordon. It's a bit tricky, to be honest. The midfield spots aren't actually all that great unless you're looking at singles. Like a good singler this week would be Diego Jota, in my opinion. He'd be a very good singler. So it's difficult. It's very difficult. Just over 5 minutes. Apparently Surge from Planet FPL almost forgot the deadline. He's got Pickford, Cancelo, Digne, Cash, Zaha, Son, Madison, De Bruyne, Vardy, Ings, Richarlison. Interesting. He's not going with Kane, which is very interesting. So Sam Martin, who's the Leicester correspondent, he's posted something here. He says we're obviously getting close to the deadline. I haven't heard anything yet with regards to our team. My free hit currently contains Vardy and Madison. Just getting that out there so you don't come at me if I don't tweet the side before both of them. But I have both of them on a free hit. FPL Salah uses 2 free transfers, so he's got Schmeichel, Cancelo, Alonso, Trent, Coutinho, Son, Saka, Gordon, Ings, Watkins, and he's got Richarlison with the captaincy. But he's got plenty of backup on the bench with Mason Mount, Reece James, and Laporte if needed. TED Talks FPL has got Pickford, Digne, Cash, Mikalenko, Madison, De Bruyne, Son, Zaha, Kane, Ings captain with Vardy. So he's going over Richarlison, which is very interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Zofar from the FPL Wires posted his. He's got Pickford, Mikolenko, Digne, Cash, Zaha, De Bruyne, Madison, Son, Ings, Captain, Richarlison, and Kane. Very straightforward, very easy. So I see a lot of people going Madison over Gordon, which is interesting. Maybe it's just the upside, I guess. Az has apparently done a -12. So he's done a -12. He's taken a Ramsdale for Pickford. That was his free transfer. He's done Salah to Son. He's done Kulusevski to Madison. And he's done Hwang to Ings. And he's worried about his Liverpool fullbacks not playing and wrecking his bench boost. So he has a bench boost of Dubravka, Saka, Roberts, and Bruno Guimaraes. Which is interesting. But he's got Pickford, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, Cash, Son, Madison, Gordon. Ings captain with Kane and Richarlison. So, and he took a -12 to do that, which is a yikes. So we'll see. Late Riser's got his team. He's gone Salah and Ben White to Son and Digne captain for a -4, which is interesting. It says rolling the dice on his gut. Let's have some fun. 1238 in the world, 1238th in the world. So his team is Ramsdale, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, James, Digne captain, Son, Coutinho with the vice captaincy, Gordon, Kane, and Richarlison. But he's got Dubravka, Saka, Kulusevski, and a dud forward on the bench for backup. All right. Make sure your teams are all locked in and ready to go. Pickford, Cash, Digne, Mikolenko, Son, KDB, Zaha, Madison, Kane, Richarlison, Ings. I like it. Think it's good. Looks good. Looks good. We got about 10 seconds left, so make sure everything is locked in. I'm going to refresh my team one more time to make sure as well. Just going to back Son. Dude's in form. Knows he can win the Golden Boot now. Why not? So that should be the FPL deadline. Let's see. And it is. It is. So that's going to do it for us. There's only one more deadline left. Let's move over to the big screen. Only one more deadline left. Season's flown by, even with all these double game weeks. We'll be here on the stream, here on Twitch, for Gameweek 38 as well. It's going to be easier, I would think, because of the fact that it's going to be at a more normal time. I think the deadline is 10:30 a.m. my time, which is 9:30 a.m., which is much easier to get up for than 5. So yeah. Yeah, we should be good on that. Yeah, best of luck to everyone for Game Week 37. Hopefully all your free hits work out. And then we got the big finish. We'll know more about the title race. We'll know more about the top 4 race. Will Arsenal slip up? Will Spurs slip up? What's going to happen with the relegation? It's going to be all to play for come the final game week of the season. But thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until the next one, take care.